Still finishing Super Meat Boy. Alright, the 30-minute timer is going off in 5 minutes, by the way.
Super Meat Boy!
Oh wait, tap it once. Is it double jumping? What's going on? What the heck? Alright, that's time, bro. Hmm? Okay. Figuring it out. So close. All right, you said going AFK, right, friend? You go AFK.
Go, my bandaged girls! Yeah, I thought you could use your. There you go. There you go. Oh, okay. That's safe. Ah. Oh, got way too excited. Oh. Oh. That's what you asked for. Yeah. New short form game? All right. I imagine at this very moment you're hyper focused on your Souls RNG, right? What's that All right.
You.
Mhm. Like, you sure? I got some plastic chairs out there that are pretty uncomfortable. That's definitely the best chair. Well, the only reason why mine is so good is because that's the most comfiest by itself. This is really comfy because of modifiers. Well, modifications, mods, same thing. Okay, you become. Thank you. Right. Jesus, you are wonderful, true, and amazing. Thank you for just your righteousness. We look to you because you are just a holy, good, amazing, beautiful God. So as we read the writings of the ancients, where they operate out of their despair, because we know that this is the text of a persecuted minority group. Even though that truth is sometimes get lost because people have used these texts to inflict their injustice. It's writings of hope for the inflictor, and also judgment and hope for. Actually, it's hope for the afflictee, judgment, hope for the afflictor. Because you are with the poor and the marginalized. We look to you. Amen. Whoa. You need to, after it's done praying, to unleash the quacks. Mm-hmm. Quack. Yep. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he fathered Methuselah. Enoch walked about with God 300 years after fathering Methuselah, and fathered sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch. Gosh darn it. I guess the controller, even though like I'm out of the task, controller still works.
Super Meat Boy!
I was trying to move the controller and I actually pressed A and I heard the game continue. And I was like, oof.
Time to,
All right. So remember last time we read long lines, then he died. So now
he's gonna say again.
now we're also going to talk about hope, because we're going to hear about, remember what happened with Enoch? All right. This is the part.
That's why it's time to read Genesis. I've read forever to that already.
When Enoch lived 65 years, he fathered Methuselah. Enoch walked about with God 300 years after fathering Methuselah, and fathered sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch came to 365 years. You know, Enoch walked about with God, and then he was no more, because God took him. When Methuselah had lived 187 years, he fathered Lamech. Methuselah lived 782 years after fathering Lamech, and fathered sons and daughters. So all the days of Methuselah came to 969 years. Then he died. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he fathered a son, and called him Noah, saying, "This man he'll give us relief from our work, from the painfulness of our hands, from the ground that Yahweh cursed." Lamech lived 595 years after fathering Noah, and fathered sons and daughters. So all the days of Lamech came to 777 years. Then he died. When Noah had lived 500 years, Noah fathered Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Remember what Noah means? Yeah, it means rest. And so he's like saying, He's like, Lamech is like hoping his son will give relief from our work, the painfulness stands from the ground that Yahweh curse.
Answer, no.
He will. Because again, the ground, violence.
I'm talking about, isn't he gonna like walk with God?
Well,
Or is it different
Enoch walked with God. Or
Noah?
no,
I was thinking of a different Noah.
yeah, Noah is the one who, Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
And so it's not the kind of rest that he probably wasn't expecting.
No.
At a lunch the weekend after Tony Blair became British Prime Minister in 1997, I was talking with a woman at our table. The event had reminded me of the election of Harold Wilson's government in Britain in 1964. And I had been thinking of the way euphoria turned to disillusion over the years that followed. When I voiced a concern about the same scenario would unfold, as it subsequently did, this woman became quite angry. I had destroyed the hope that the election brought to her. When Barack Obama was elected president of the United States, it was explicitly on the hope ticket, in a context that the United States needed some hope. The trouble is that whether it is Wilson, Blair, or Obama, he gets turned into a messiah. The danger is then that the audacity, thank you, the audacity of hope, the title Obama gave to one of his books, became the deceptiveness of hope. In that solemn sequence of refrains, then he died. The one exemption is Enoch. Enoch lived a short life, a mere 365 years. He was cut off in his prime, yet the number suggests he lived a full life. Furthermore, throughout that life, he walked about with God. The verb form used suggests walking about rather than walking from A to B. And it is the same form that was used of God walking about in the garden and will be used subsequently on a number of occasions when God walks among the people of Israel. It will be used of Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Samuel, Hezekiah, but also of ordinary Israelites. They are people who walk their walk without going anywhere, but they walk it with God. Usually such people walk about before God, which suggests that God has an eye on them. With both solemn and encouraging implications, Enoch walked about with God, which suggests something more like a friendship. So what does walking about with suggest? Friendship. Friendship unlocked. It is as if the relationship that was spoiled in the garden, so that God and Adam could no longer go out for a walk, is marvelously renewed. God and Enoch go out for a walk. Enoch does not have to feel bound by the story that precedes him, as if that makes it impossible to walk about with God. He can do so, and God does not have to be bound by the story that precedes Enoch. God can go for a walk with Enoch. Another distinctive aspect to Enoch's life was something odd about how it ended. One day, he wasn't there. No heavenly limo came to collect him as happened to Elijah. He just disappeared. Well, people do that. But in this case, it says God took him. The Bible does not... Enoch walked into the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes. That's why it disappeared.
When your friendship with God, you get lost in the Bermuda, you get lifted in the Bermuda Triangle. That's funny. The Bible does not speak that way about ordinary death, as we sometimes do. There was something special about Enoch's death, or rather his disappearance. You see what I mean? Again, if you do not give any attention, the behavior will be learned that that's not a way how to get attention. The Bible does not speak that way about ordinary death, as we sometimes do. There was something special about Enoch's death, or rather his disappearance, as there was about the disappearance of Elijah, whom God also took. No one saw a limbo, but somehow God took him. And maybe there was a link between the walking and talking, the walking and taking. Maybe God enjoyed walking about with Enoch and wanted to carry on doing so. The story is mysterious, and maybe people who told it did not quite know what to make of it, just as we do not. But maybe this mystery was not made. Maybe this mystery was what made it important. Like the walking, the talking, the walking, the taking might remind people to lift their heads, not to think that everyday reality is all there is, not to despair of God's relationship with us. Jewish tradition assumes that Enoch was taken to the presence of God, and this would obviously make him an expert on what heaven was like, as would be the case with Elijah and with Moses, who also mysteriously disappeared at God's behest. So there are a number of visionary works from much later times that imagine the supernatural revelations Enoch or Moses or Elijah might be able to give us. Jude 14-15 in the New Testament quotes the one attributed to Enoch. Enoch is a sign of hope. For Lamech, a different Lamech. Noah is a sign of hope, though there may be some ambiguity or irony about his words. Noah is the first person since Seth on whose name there is a comment. It resembles the word for. Though oddly, the comment refers to a different word that is less similar, the word for relief. If we have forgotten what God said life will be like east of Eden, Lamech reminds us. Work is hard, and Lamech would like some relief from it. Work is painful. Lamech picks up the words God had used in Genesis 3. It involves work in the ground God cursed, outside the garden with its copious water supply. It grows thorns and thistles more naturally than wheat and figs. Lamech comes home each day from his work on the land, his back breaking, anxious about whether he will grow enough to last through the coming year. He longs for relief, and there is no TV in front of which he can collapse mindless.
They didn't have TVs back in the day. All they had were more as entertainment, basically.
But he has
I like to say entertainment.
But he has an audacious hope concerning his son. Parents can be like that. Living up to the parents' hopes can be a burden for children. The ambiguity is that for humanity in Noah's day, things are going to get cataclysmically worse before showing any sign of getting better. And how do they get better? How far will Lamech's hopes be realized? Is he a true prophet? The irony is that the only relief Noah will provide the world is the accidental invention of liquor. That will indeed provide some relief for the likes of Lamech at the end of a long day, but no one's own story will show what a mixed blessing this invention will be. Before that, however, in a variety of ways, things do get very much worse. Christians customarily separate Genesis 1-3 from the chapters that follow as a story of human beginnings, the story of creation and fall. Genesis itself does not separate those opening chapters so sharply from the subsequent ones, and Jewish tradition has followed. The division Genesis makes is between the story from creation to the flood from Adam to Noah, and the story from Noah to Abraham. In the stories of Adam and Eve, Cain, and the earlier Lamech, disobedience and its consequence get hold of humanity in different areas: marriage and work, family relationships, and the local community. On the other side of the Noah story, Genesis will turn to speak of society and nations more broadly. In the meantime, Genesis 6 will bring to a climax the account of the way God's purpose for creation met with resistance and frustration. While Christians' thinking emphasizes the beginning of the story of sin in Genesis 3, Jewish thinking puts more emphasis on this climax to the story of sin. And while Christian thinking wondered about the fall of angels and assumed it happened before the fall of humanity, those imagery visions of Enoch take the story we're about to read as an account of the fall of some angels and go on to elaborate it. All right, what's that to you? Remember, there's the first Lamech, which is because he has the multiple wives. And then he is boasting about how someone wounded him. And he killed them. And so then, if Cain, and he's like praising and singing, if Cain had the mark of curse 7 times, if someone kills him, he'll have 7 rights. And then now this is Lamech, who is Noah's father. And what does this Lamech say about Noah? He'll give him rest, right? All right. Good Good observation. All right, another section or Bob project? We do like our meat.
Paul's second letter to the Corinthians. Even though it's called 2nd or 2 Corinthians in our Bibles, there are multiple clues within this letter that it's not the second thing he ever wrote to the church of ancient Corinth. Paul started this Jesus community in Corinth some time ago. On one of his missionary journeys, you can read the story in the book of Acts chapter 18. And after moving on, Paul got a report that things were not going well there. So he wrote the letter that we call 1 Corinthians to correct these problems, and it appears that many in the church rejected Paul's teaching in that letter and rebelled against his authority. And so we learn in this letter that Paul had followed up in person with what he calls the painful visit, and after that he sent a letter which he says was written with anguish and tears. And so after all these measures, most, but not all of the Corinthians realized their arrogance and they apologized to Paul. They wanted to reconcile. And so Paul wrote this letter to assure them of his love and commitment. The letter's been designed with 3 main sections, each addressing a distinct topic. So Paul first finalizes his reconciliation with the Corinthians. Then in chapters 8 and 9, he addresses the topic of forgotten generosity. And in the final chapters, Paul challenges the remaining Corinthians who still reject him. Let's dive in and you'll see how it all works. So Paul opens up by thanking the God of all mercy and comfort, who brought peace and encouragement to him and the Corinthians during this time of division and dispute. He acknowledges that things have been tense since this painful visit, and he makes clear he's forgiven them. He wants an open and honest relationship. But why had they rejected Paul in the first place? Well, we discover later in this letter that the Corinthians had disregarded Paul as a leader. He was poor, he earned a meager living through manual labor, he was under constant persecution and suffering, he was often homeless, and to top it off, he wasn't a very impressive public speaker. And so once the Corinthians were exposed to other, more wealthy, impressive Christian leaders, they started to think less of Paul. They were actually ashamed of him. So Paul responds first by showing that their elevation of these leaders, simply because of their wealth and eloquence, is a betrayal of Jesus. It shows a totally distorted value system. True Christian leadership, Paul says, is not about status or self-promotion. Paul depicts himself and the other apostles as captive slaves to King Jesus, who's leading them on a procession of triumph. Paul's job isn't to be impressive, but rather to point people to the one who is Jesus. He then alludes to the recent demand of the Corinthians that he provide some letters of recommendation to prove his authority and credentials, and this is ridiculous to Paul. Their church wouldn't even exist if he hadn't started it, and so he says they are his proof of genuine leadership. They are his letter of recommendation. He cleverly quotes from the prophets Jeremiah and Ezekiel, saying that God's Spirit has written his letter of recommendation on their hearts as his new covenant people. The Corinthians shouldn't need any more proof than that. Now, the mention of the new covenant, it leads Paul into a long comparison between the old covenant between God and Israel that was mediated by Moses and the new covenant between God and the Corinthians mediated by Jesus and the Spirit. The old covenant made at Mount Sinai, it was truly glorious. It made Moses himself shine with God's glory, but that glory eventually faded. Not to mention the fact that the laws of that covenant were ineffective at truly transforming Israel. But the new covenant, by comparison, is even more glorious because the resurrected Jesus is the very glory of God and he lives on forever. And it's his Spirit that's now transforming people to become more faithful just like Jesus himself. Now this all sounds amazing. I mean, who doesn't want to share in God's own glory? But Paul goes on to show how the paradox of the cross turns upside down the Corinthians' ideas of glory and success. After all, Jesus' glorious exaltation as king took place through his suffering, execution, and death. On the cross, Jesus revealed God's salvation. He died for the sins of the world to reconcile people to God. But the cross does even more. It reveals God's character. He's a being of utter self-giving, suffering love that seeks the well-being of others. The cross also reveals a new cruciform way of life. And Paul's goal is that his life and ministry imitates the cross. So although his apostolic career, it's been marked by humility, suffering, by poverty, it was all to serve the Corinthians. And so when they disapprove of Paul's poverty and suffering, they disapprove of Jesus too. Paul's way of life and leadership is actually the proof that he authentically represents the crucified and risen Jesus. Paul really wants to reconcile with the Corinthians, but he won't let things lie until they've been transformed and embrace this upside-down paradox of the cross. After this passionate appeal, Paul moves on to address the topic of forgotten generosity. So the Jewish Christians back in Jerusalem, they had fallen into poverty due to a famine. And Paul was raising money among the new churches that he started, full of mostly non-Jews. They would all send a relief gift as a symbol of their unity in the Messiah, Jesus. And so many of his churches, they were thrilled to give, but the Corinthians, in the midst of all this conflict with Paul, hadn't saved up for the gift. And for Paul, this isn't just about money. It's another sign that the Corinthians have not been transformed by the gospel about Jesus, which, at its heart, is a story of generosity. Paul says, "You know the generous grace of our Lord Jesus the Messiah, that even though he was rich, for your sake he became poor, so that through his poverty you might become rich." He's telling the story of the gospel through financial metaphors. Jesus gave up his glorious honor, or wealth, and he lowered himself to die like a poor slave, so that other people who are impoverished through sin and death can be exalted and become wealthy through the riches of God's grace. To be a Christian is to let this story sink deep into your mind and heart, letting it transform you into someone who's more generous, more willing to share your life and resources to help others. In the final section of the letter, Paul focuses on the main source of his conflict with the Corinthians, that group of impressive leaders that he sarcastically calls super apostles. So they came to Corinth promoting themselves and bad-mouthing Paul as a poor, unsuccessful leader. And at the risk of sounding self-promoting, Paul says, do these guys really want to compare credentials? He can totally take them on. Are they Jewish Bible experts? Well, so is Paul. He was a Pharisee, for goodness sakes. He has the whole Bible memorized. Do they want to brag about their superior knowledge of Jesus? Paul has actually seen and hung out with the risen Jesus. He's actually had visions of Jesus' heavenly throne room. But more importantly, Paul has given his entire life to the mission of Jesus. He sacrificed comfort and stability, and he never asked the Corinthians for money. Unlike the super apostles who charged a lot, Paul earned his own living. But, Paul says, he refuses to brag about these accomplishments because these aren't the things that really matter as a Christian. Instead, what he'll brag about is how flawed and how weak he is, because it's in those inadequacies that he discovers the love and mercy of Jesus. Or as Jesus once told Paul, "My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect through weakness." Paul concludes the letter with a sober warning to the Corinthians. They need to check themselves. Their contempt for Paul, his way of life, their love for these super apostles, it all shows that they don't grasp who Jesus is on a fundamental level. They're not living like transformed followers of Jesus, and so he invites them once again to humble themselves before the love of Jesus. 2 Corinthians gives us a really unique window into the life of Paul and the paradox set before us by the cross of Jesus. The cross challenges our values, our ways of seeing the world. We value success, education, wealth, but God values humility and weakness because his love and power were made known through the suffering, death, and the resurrection of Jesus. The cross also unleashes the transforming power and presence of the Spirit to empower Jesus' followers to take up his cruciform way of life and make it their own. And that's what 2 Corinthians is all about.
All right. Takeaway, bros.
That Paul has a whole Bible memorized. That's crazy.
I mean, yeah.
I bet after, if I studied for that a whole 100 years, I wouldn't have even done that.
Well, and at that time, it was only the Tanakh. So the First Testament. Yeah, and that,
Kind of crazy.
yeah, and that, like, they found life. Like, that was also, like, they had a system to keep on copying and mass producing it. And so while he's studying it, he was making other copies. They'll handwrite everything.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's that's the flip side of having so many. There's the negative side of having so many visual arts, video games, all this kind of stuff. Is we don't tackle it like the ancients did. Yeah.
We're kind of in their fast processing and stuff. It makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, and so the upside down of the cross is the ultimate. It's like sacrificial
Ultimate
death,
way of life.
sacrificial death,
It's the ultimate way of life.
depleting of one's life. But yeah, but it's the vast richness. All right, friend, we can start. All right, I'll be back. Just had to.
I was
Ah. 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 You're way too excited. Ah. Okay, so it can shoot me right there. So it's a quick in and out. Oh. Ah. Ah.
My mouse is in the.
I wonder if I could just be in the front end of this. Try in the front end instead of the back end. Yeah, not possible. I gotta be on the back end. Oh, going way too fast. Ah. Oh, way too far back. Oh. Oh, I need to do something. Set 1 hour timer. The heck? Why is it? Ah! Ooh, the razors throw a... Darn it. Lost timing. Ah. Like. So close. Ah. Okay. Ah. I'm just messing with it. Ah. Ah. Hmm. Oof. Oof. Oh, I'll see my million attempts. What a blur of pink. Oh, so close. Oh, messed that up. Come on. Ah. Stop grabbing the walls. Oh. You could just slide down. Oh, you don't hop down. Oop. Come on. A button work. I wonder if I can make... Oh. Nope. Okay, I had to land on that platform. Oh. Ah. That's a redonkulum. Ah. Curious. No, I can't make that jump. I don't think I can. Oh man, I'm wasting too much time.
Ah. Yeah. Why? I switch controllers. I'm feeling it. And I'll just hardwire it. We'll be back.
All right, let's see if it's just me or controller. Oh, this A feels a lot easier to hit. I don't know when I feel like I was smashing A. Register my movements. All right. Ah. Now I have myself to blame. Well, such responsiveness. Oh. Ah! I have myself to blame there. Ah. Oh. Oh. It's all me. That's all me. Ah. Ah. Oh. Ah, come on. Oh. Silly goosed it there. Silly goosed it there. I'm a silly goose. Ah! Ah, so close. Oh. Oh. La, la, la. All right, let's do this. Oh, pff. Okay. Oh. See if I can clear that. Oh. 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 The A button. You're stuck on me now button. Ah, grab, jump. Oh. Oh? Do I not have to make that jump? I could just jump on the side. Oh. Ah, I'll just have to try making a jump to the side. Oh. All right. Ah. It's always that blade that throws off my timing. Ah. Oop. Oh. 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 Darn it. Ah. What? Ah, way too early. Oh. Oh. Whew. Ah. Ah. Way too early. Berg. I guess slow down for that one. Ah. Oh. Oh. Oh man. Oh man. I'm curious. I wanna. Oh. Ah. Okay. Oh man. Oh! I hit A. I hit A. Oh, all right. Let's get back into flow. Oh. Oh. Time, my friend. Oh, way too high. Okay, I see now. Let's choose a jump low. Goes against like all. Oh. Ah. Oh. What's up? Because now I'm playing a girl. That's why. I'm playing Bandage Girl, and so it's UT music. Because now the girl's going to save the boy. We'll see. Oh. Ah, way too high. Oh, I need to start really low with that jump. Ah. Oh. Ah. Oh. Oh. Messing up. Oh, I need to jump lower. Oh, watch my 1,000 attempts. Oh, they probably limit it. I feel like I did a lot more than that. Oh, I also did... No? Probably, yeah, they probably cap it. Oh, I see the keys are around it. Oh. 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 Oh gosh. Oh, hello there, block. Oh gosh. I mean, ah. That one stays on me. Yep. It's not like one before where... Ah! So close. Nope. Oh. Oh, darn it. I knew that was... Oh. All right. After Denny, let's go get hydration, okay? If you want to, we could do physical adventure around there or something. Oh. Nope. Oof. Oh. Oh. Ah. Oh. Oh gosh. Oh. Well. Well. Ah. Ah. Oh my gosh. Ah. No, no. How much more? Oh man. These are like really tough levels. No, New Game Plus. No, how New Game Plus works is I'll be starting at the very beginning with pretty much all my same stuff, maybe with a difficulty, but these are none of the original levels. So like, but that's not how traditionally New Game Plus is. New Game Plus is like Expedition 33, for instance. Like, if I beat the game, but then I can start the run again with my levels and all my same items. That would be like a New Game Plus. So let me know when you're ready. I can't like jump. Yeah, but it's like you eventually lose your heights. Yeah. It like eventually like peters out. Nope. Oh my gosh. What's up? Yeah, we could tie that into physical adventure, okay?